Here is a picture of my home place where I used to live with my parents till I was 26 years old when I got married. I've got another video on here about that, showing the place where I used to live. And here is what it looked like when we had it, and my mama had planted some shrubbery bushes out in the front yard. And they had a little eagle statue there on the corner of the house. And my daddy, he didn't have any shutters on the house. The people that's got it now has got shutters on it, but they've let it fall off of the living room window. Kind of looks different. But this is the house when it had shrubbery bushes. She had some green shrubbery bushes, and she also had some azalea bushes. And they had been planted probably 30 years. And the people that bought the house when my daddy sold it ended up cutting them bushes down. So now there's no bushes in front of the house. This was my mama and daddy. We went to the racetrack that day. And here's a picture of my daddy's house, the property that he had bought after he sold the home place house, that he fixed up a little bit and lived in 6 months before he passed. I'm going to go down there one day and make a video about that. It's empty. The man we sold it to just bought it for a tax write-off for his business, and he would let us go down there anytime to look at it. So I inherited that when my daddy passed, because he had already sold the home place house before he passed. And I kept this for 5 years, and then we sold it. And the little black car right there that I've got now was my daddy's car. So I also inherited that little car. And it is a good car. He bought it brand new in 2008. Well, actually, let's see, December 2007 he bought it, but it was a 2008 model. And he bought it brand new. He had it 2 years before he passed. But I was an only child, didn't have any brothers and sisters, and this was my mom and daddy. My mama passed in 2000 from diabetes, and my daddy passed in 2010 from coronary artery disease, like plaque buildup in his arteries. He overworked himself when he was cutting wood one day. But Mama had a lifetime, about 29 years of diabetes, and it just got worse over the years. I was 28 when my mama passed. I was 37 when my daddy passed. And now I'm 52. But right here was our home place house. And he sold it in 2006 before he passed. And he had got this property. And then he passed in 2010. This is 2 little dogs that I used to have. with pajamas on. There's one with the little pamper on. And this is our house now we have. And this is where we used to live before we moved here. About 15 minutes from here. And it had 8 acres of land. It was a mobile home. I've still got that property. I've sold the trailer to my nephew, and they're living up there now for 2 years, and I'm renting him the land space. But that's a good spot up there. It's private and it's in the country. Here's me when I was in the 11th grade, about 17 years old. That was one of my grandpas. That was my mama's daddy. And this was my grandma, his wife, and me. We lived beside of them at our home place. That was their fish pond they had down there in a little cabin. We were standing out there that day looking at the fish pond. My grandpa, he passed in 2004, and my grandma passed in 2010. And this is my other grandparents, my daddy's parents. My grandpa, he passed in 1994, and my grandma passed in 2018. And that was their son's little dog. They thought so much of, they called it their grandchild. Her name was Prissy. This was an old farmhouse that my daddy patched up and fixed up, lived in it 6 months before he passed. It was heated with a wood stove. And this was my home place house. My daddy built it.